I will say that the one advantage to doing this is playing a little room like this. Actually, it makes it sound like the song when it was written. They were written in rooms like these, so it does have that same concussive effect.
It rocks, Billy, it rocks!
Thank you, Cousin Larry. Okay. Good?
Speak to me in a language I can hear. Humor me before I have to go. People thought I forgive everyone, 'cause the clouded streets greet me once again. I know I can't be late, so who's waiting on the table? Tomorrow's just an excuse away. So I pull my collar up and face the cold. Oh man, the earth laughs beneath my heavy feet. At the blossoming in my own January. Steeple guide me to my heart and home. The sun is out and up and down again. I know I'll make it last. I have a place. Songs are never taken till the end. You can make it last forever. You can make it last forever. You can make it last. If I know that I lose myself, wrapped up in the pleasures of the world, I've journeyed here and there and back again. But in the same old haunts I still find my friends. Mysteries no end to reveal. Sympathies I'm ready to reveal. I'll make the effort last forever. Songs are never sung till the end. Tomorrow's just an excuse. Tomorrow's just an excuse. You can make it last forever. You can make it last forever. You can make it last forever. You forever. You.
Thank you very much. Anybody got any questions?
Go with Yannick.
Here. Hi.
Oh, hi.
I was wondering what was the motivation behind playing all Oceania album as a whole in concert.
Well, it was a couple things. One, we got sick of people asking us to play old Pumpkins albums. In the beginning, when that started, people started doing it. I actually thought it was kind of cool. But then I saw all these bands of my generation who didn't have confidence to go out and tour new material. Suddenly were running out to play these old albums. And then it became like an expectation. And if anybody knows anything about me, once you put that kind of expectation on me, I'm just not going there. Because that's just lame. It's not, if you look at it as a one band, one album that you like, if you're a fan, you should go. It's not, I'm not saying don't go, but in the whole, in the aggregate, why all of a sudden is alternative music so not important as it once was? Why is rock and roll being relegated to the sidelines where video games, you know, once you lose that fighting spirit to go out and make new music, that's the end. And it's not the end. So,
the beginning.
I appreciate that. So in the beginning we were like, okay, well, why don't we do the opposite? You know, we'll play the new album. If everyone's out playing their old album, we'll be playing the new album. But then when the reality hit of actually playing it, then it's a whole other thing. Like, how do you do it? How do you stage it? But it's been a good journey for us because, and he can attest to this, it's like making that commitment's been really important for us. It's one thing to ask the audience, and if they enjoy it, great. And if they don't, well, there's nothing we can do. But the commitment of saying we're going to play new music and we're going to live and die with it, psychologically to the band, getting out of the thing of like, well, we'll play a new song, we'll play a couple oldies, and then we'll throw in another new song. Getting out of that psychology has been really great for us. It's made us realize we can do this, we can make new music, and if it doesn't work, well, that's just because we're not good enough. But we're not going to like sort of lean on the past every chance we get to kind of just skirt around this issue. And I unfortunately I see a lot of people from my generation doing that. You know, and that's the end. When it gets down to that, that's the end. They can stand there and play all they want, but it's the end.
As long as you play old songs, some in the end, it's all good.
Well, yeah. Well, that's fine.
The new album is good too. It's fun that you can do both.
Well, you know, we may get to a point where we don't play any old songs. You know, and we'll play to smaller crowds. But
New's awesome.
no. But my point is that strictly playing old songs ain't getting it done for anybody.
Yeah,
if you're talking about Generation X, right, which is my generation, and sort of the edge of his.
It wasn't bad comment. It was just.
No, I'm not taking it away. What I'm saying is, I'm trying to give you the insight because you're asking a deeper question in my eyes. If we just went out and played old songs, this arena's not filled. So what is that? It's not that great. It's cool. We're fine with it, but it's not that great. Our thing is just like, look, what do we have to do to be great today? Today. And people say, well, why use the name? Because I want to say, fuck it, bring it on. I'm not afraid of that. Because when I did solo album, there's people out there shouting for fucking Pumpkin Song. So what was the difference? When I was in Zwan, people shouting for Pumpkin Song. So everywhere I went, radio stations, I'd show up with Zwan and they'd say, can you play Pumpkin Songs? For a different band. Once you're in that world, you say, fuck it all. To me, that's what I'm trying to say is, that's alternative. That's alternative. I got here by being alternative, not by being somebody's fucking bitch. Okay, and I'm not saying that's what you're saying. I'm saying is, alternative has lost its way because it was never meant to be a business. People love alternative music not because it's a business, not because some asshole tells you it's cool. They love it because it connects to them in a way that's much more visceral than pop ever can. That's why people still idolize Sid Vicious or Johnny Rotten or Neil Young, because they have a fighting spirit. It's the fighting spirit. And this world we live in now, it's about this album or that song. Who gives a shit? What they realize is they're relegating these great artists, and you could take me out of that equation. They're relegated into just like a corner. Like, go sit in that corner. You know what I mean? You couldn't have told the 18-year-old in me to sit in the corner. You couldn't have told the 25-year-old to sit in the corner. 30. Why are you going to tell me the 45-year-old? I'm less likely to sit in the corner. So we're talking about all sorts of things that we can do, and we'll deal with it.
Good. Oh, that's good.
We're more interested in building an artistic legacy. That's the real answer to the question. Cool. Okay, next question.
Andrew.
Oh, yeah, right over here. Obviously, you guys have a lot of musical influences in the past towards your style or whatever, but like, what are some of the bands or artists that you like right now?
Mike.
I think right now probably my favorite band playing is this band called Mew. It's really cool. They kind of sound like it's hard to put a finger on it. It's kind of weird, like proggy, jangly. It's super like. Sorry, this is the most ridiculous answer I've ever given. It's like it's super cool. It's shades of gray. No,
It's his favorite book too.
yeah. Yeah. No, I like you. I like Health a lot. That band's pretty cool. It's like
Health?
weird, yeah. Like weird.
Health.
I actually know Hell. Yeah. Never know bands that you know.
What are you into lately?
I've realized any new bands that I like aren't even new. They've been around a while, so I don't really know. I'm kind of like you, actually. I don't really like too many new bands. I'm bad.
Yeah, obviously for you, maybe you don't follow some of the new bands, but like maybe some of the older bands that influenced you on to what you do now, or you know, I mean, obviously you guys are trying new things too. You have new sounds and everything. So like, are you getting inspiration anywhere, or?
No, I mostly listen to Bach and Mozart and Beethoven.
That's good.
I'm more interested in melody now. I think when I was younger, I listened to a lot of bands either to learn how to write a song or how to produce a song. And once I kind of reached a sort of a saturation point of that kind of knowledge, it's not to say I can't learn anything else, but it was like I was sort of tapped out. I'm much more interested in high melody. And Mozart to me is high melody, Beethoven, Bach, it's high melody. Pop music is McDonald's commercials.
Yeah.
Repeat the same line over and over again. And if you listen to Oceania, there's not a lot of melodic repetition. The album would probably sell more if there was more melodic repetition. We'd probably get on the radio more.
Don't care about that.
Well, no, you have to care about that, but the point is that in alternative music or general rock music, high melody is the thing least tapped into, because you actually have to have real talent to be able to tap into it. Any guy with a guitar, that's the great thing, is any guy with a guitar or girl can write a pretty cool 3-chord song. If it's catchy enough, you get on the radio, great. That's the beginning. But after 25, 30 years, the only thing left for me to crack is the higher melody. I've written pop songs, I've written grunge anthems. I mean, to me, it's all just repetition. And so the great thing about the four of us is we can support that higher melody with new forms. To us, Oceania is like the foundational layer of this higher music. The difficulty in the history of pop, unless you're the Beach Boys, which is probably, and maybe the Beatles are the only two examples, is that's the only two bands I can think of where super high melody meets pop. Generally speaking, the higher melody you go into, the less pop it becomes because it's just too weird for people. But if you listen to a song like "Wouldn't It Be Nice" by the Beach Boys, I mean that's like classical melody. So we'd like to think we can break through this other level and have high melody and have it be pop. So we're not interested in being obscure or arty, because the arty world's never going to accept me back in. It never accepted Pumpkins in the first place. The only kind of arty people that support the band really are people that grew up on the band and kind of appreciate the band. But it's not a critic's band. It's more a people's band. So. Next question?
Greg.
Hey, Billy.
Only guys with questions.
Today.
Are you saying the women had bad questions?
Well, we could go with Julie. How about Julie?
Sorry.
Sorry, Greg.
Sorry, Greg.
We'll answer your question. Let's do Greg first, then we'll do Julie.
Thank you. Well, it's a good segue, because we were just talking, and you were talking about Bach and Beethoven and all these guys that you are now sort of listening to and being influenced by. So we have a chance today, and I guess we should all thank you for having the opportunity to stand in front of our musical idol, someone that was part of our youth and our sort of culture growing up.
Right.
If you had a chance now to stand in front of these people that you idolize, or a musical idol, what would you ask those people? What would you be trying to get out of this experience?
I think that's really difficult because I have been lucky enough to stand in front of some of my musical idols. I have sat and been able to have a conversation with Tony Iommi, or I just blanked on his name, or Neil Young, or Pete Townsend, or even Paul Stanley from Kiss, Gene Simmons. Guys I grew up were like they were like on the top of the mountain, like, oh my God. People I can email and ask them a question. I mean, I have emails I could email pretty much anybody I can think of. I could probably get an email through, right? The thing I've learned is you're never going to get as much from that conversation as you get from their music. And that doesn't mean, Pete Townsend is one of the most articulate, intelligent people I've ever met. But the gift is in the music. And so you oftentimes assume that somehow the gift is in the relationship or the gift in the conversation. And I find that too sometimes. People idolize me and they expect something from a conversation that I can't give them. I can't give what took me a year or 10 years to manifest in a 3-minute song that touched them. I can't give them in a 60-second conversation. Now, I can give them that because we have a relationship. And they understand and understand the way my mind works, so I can just sometimes look at him and go and he knows exactly what I mean. I can't look at a stranger and, to quote Neil Peart, I can't treat a stranger like a long-lost friend, or whatever that great line is from Rush. So the difficulty is there is people come with a level of intimacy towards us, but we don't have that intimacy with them. Most people think they know me from the media. They have no clue. They have no clue. I'm a lot funnier, sillier, goofier, and serious than I'm portrayed. It's been a good media construction. It works. I play into it sometimes just because it's funny. But people who really listen to my music understand there's a much more complex mind at work there. And what's funny now is there's been enough time, enough music that media portrayal doesn't really hold up anymore, and they don't really even know what to write. It's pretty funny when Oceana came out and people were giving it good reviews through gritted teeth, because it sort of blew up the conception that I'd lost my mind and I was never going to come back. No one appreciated or could appreciate that the journey I was on was a spiritual journey, not a musical journey. And in my spiritual journey, I cared less about pop music because in my eyes, pop music had basically almost killed me. The famous line that I said, Tammy from K-Rock said, "Why is the band breaking up?" And I jokingly said, "Because I'm tired of fighting Britney Spears." Quotes all over the world. Pumpkins break up because of Britney Spears. Right? Well, God bless her if she broke up the band. It's what needed to happen. It was a rolling ball of insanity.
Yeah.
So all that journey, the things I learned, the head fucks I went through, made it possible that the four of us can now make a whole nother era of music. And I'm really blessed that it's within the umbrella of the Smashing Pumpkins. It is the right way to do it. People who don't get it, who are crass and material and can't appreciate the spiritual construct of it, they just think, oh, you guys are just doing it to whatever. Look at, okay, you can think whatever you want to. What's her investment? What's his investment? Why would they take that on? Just for a paycheck?
Beautiful music.
He was working as a teacher at UCLA. Why would he take? You know what I'm saying? People can't appreciate there's a human dynamic to this. It's like, why do we take on this thing called the Smashing Pumpkins? Because we believe in what the Smashing Pumpkins means more than the music, more than the song, more than the fan, more than the pro. That's what we call that.
Sorry.
She got kicked out.
All right, last question.
Embarrassing yourself?
I do it quite a bit.
Julie?
Yeah, Julie is the only female
Okay.
questionnaire. Actually,
Okay, I was wondering from all your songs.
Your accent is just so alluring. Hug you. I need you to call me when I'm having a bad day.
I'll leave
You
my
need to
phone
cheer
number.
up.
I was wondering, what is the one song you are most proud of from all your songs?
I get asked that question a lot, and I don't really have an answer.
Okay.
Somebody asked me today, what's the most perfect song or something. I just don't have an answer, because there's a beautiful Navajo, I think it's Navajo tale, a Native American tale, which is when you make the perfect rug, you die. And so this, as the story goes, the little girl, her granddaughter, knows this belief, and she sees her grandmother towards the end of her life making the perfect rug, so she keeps messing up the rug. And finally the grandmother says, "Let me do it. It's my thing." And so that's the story, right? I don't think I've made the perfect rug. I don't think I've written the perfect song. We're not the perfect band. We're not perfect people. We kind of live more in the humility of how can we be better? If you could be flies on the wall and hear what our conversations are in the van on the way to the airport, we talk 80% of the time about how can we be better? How can we be a better band? How can we play better? How can we be better with one another? It's a dedication to an idea. And in this construct that we're in, which is really wacky. I mean, I can think of very few bands that have continued on with other people, with this few other people that have actually succeeded to where the audience comes back and says, wait, there's something more. So we're in a really weird space because every time we walk into a place like this, we have no idea what people are thinking. One person's mad because we're not playing more of this album. This person's mad because we're not playing more of that album. These people are mad because we're not playing only old songs. You know, and this guy's happy because his band's back and, you know, there's something to believe in again. He can tell all his friends that have been giving him shit for 10 years, fuck you. There's that dichotomy that we walk into every day. It's very strange. So we don't really know what to do other than the band together and believe that somehow the music balances out all those forces. And that's, the strangest thing is, that belief that we have is very similar to the belief that the original band had. Because when we first started putting out music, oh, you guys are too loud, oh, the solos, oh, your voice is too whiny, the lyrics are too emotional, too personal. And the only thing we knew to do was just kind of turn our backs and kind of, as long as we did that, we did really, really well. Is when we stopped losing faith in one another and started getting caught up in all that out there. That was the real destruction of that. So at least I know that, and I can tell them that. Don't listen to that. It's really seductive, though. You know what I mean? We walk out the back door and there's 100 kids waiting. Oh, it's an amazing concert, da 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 da. But you can get in the van and go, oh, what about the other 5,000 people that thought it sucked? It's very seductive. So, good question. Thank you very much. Hope you had fun.
Woo! Thanks, Billy.
Cheers, Thomas.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Have a good show.